April 18, 1944. The skies over northern France burn with morning light. Clouds drift lazily, unaware of the coming storm. The roar of 8 Republic P-47 Thunderbolts slices through the calm, each fighter bristling with 8.50 caliber machine guns. The engines growl like caged beasts, shadows racing across the patchwork fields below. On the horizon, a squadron of Focke-Wulf FW-190s emerges, sleek, deadly, confident. German pilots expect to dominate. They have faced Allied aircraft before. But today, the rules of engagement have changed. 8 P-47s, a wall of firepower and precision, are ready to meet them. Gunners finger triggers, pilots adjust throttle, and the air vibrates with tension. Smoke from distant flak bursts clouds the sun, tracer fire streaks upward, and the wind carries the acrid tang of adrenaline. In these moments, experience meets engineering, courage meets opportunity. The Luftwaffe may have underestimated the P-47, but the coming seconds will teach them a lesson they will never forget. Context/background, Section 1. By early 1944, the air war over Europe had reached a critical stage. The Allies were preparing for the long-awaited invasion of Western Europe, and air superiority was paramount. The P-47 Thunderbolt, one of America's most rugged and heavily armed fighters, had emerged as a crucial tool in this effort. Built for high-speed dives, sustained combat, and long-range missions, the P-47 could carry 8.50 caliber Browning machine guns, giving it unmatched firepower for its class. The Luftwaffe, once dominant in the skies over Europe, was facing increasing pressure. Experienced pilots had been lost in earlier campaigns, and the quality of new recruits, while competent, could not fully replace the veterans. German fighters, particularly the FW-190, were agile and well-armed, but they often faced numerical and tactical disadvantages against formations of Allied fighters. The development of the P-47 was partly in response to this challenge. Its rugged airframe allowed it to absorb damage that would cripple lighter fighters. Its 8 machine guns provided concentrated firepower capable of downing even heavily armored enemy aircraft. Paired with strategic formations and disciplined tactics, P-47 squadrons could confront larger numbers of enemy planes with confidence. American pilots trained rigorously in gunnery, formation flying, and coordinated attack strategies. Missions were planned meticulously. Approach angles, altitude advantage, and target assignments were all calculated to maximize firepower while minimizing vulnerability. In combat, the P-47s could execute high-speed dives, rolling attacks, and coordinated strafing runs, presenting a deadly combination of speed, firepower, and resilience. The stage was set for the decisive encounters of spring 1944. When P-47 squadrons engaged FW-190s over northern France, they did so with a clear understanding of their capabilities and limitations. The Luftwaffe, confident in their agility and experience, would soon confront the unexpected reality. 8.50 caliber machine guns, concentrated and coordinated, could overwhelm even the most skilled German pilots. This clash would not only demonstrate the lethal efficiency of the P-47, but also mark a turning point in the air war, illustrating how technological innovation, human skill, and tactical discipline could reshape the balance of power in the skies over Europe. Context/background, Section 2. The Luftwaffe's FW-190, introduced in 1939, had once been a terror in the skies. Fast, maneuverable, and armed with a combination of cannons and machine guns, it could outturn and outclimb many Allied fighters early in the war. By 1944, however, the air war had evolved. The Allies had learned from costly engagements and developed tactics that exploited the weaknesses of German aircraft. The P-47, with its heavy armament and robust design, became a central pillar in this evolution. P-47 pilots relied on speed, coordinated formations, and disciplined firing arcs. Each aircraft's 8.50 caliber machine guns could unleash a torrent of bullets capable of shredding wings, crippling engines, and overwhelming even the most nimble opponents. Unlike lighter, fragile fighters, the P-47 could dive from high altitude at immense speed, absorb return fire, and recover without catastrophic damage. This allowed pilots to engage, disengage, and re-engage with a tactical advantage, turning air combat into a controlled, lethal choreography. The American approach to air superiority emphasized teamwork over individual heroics. Squadrons flew in tight formations, protecting each other's blind spots and concentrating firepower on approaching FW-190s. Communication, trust, and situational awareness were critical. One lapse could result in disaster. Luftwaffe pilots, accustomed to exploiting gaps and engaging in fast, isolated dogfights, often found themselves outgunned and outmatched when facing the organized American formations. Logistics and training also played a role. P-47 pilots were trained for both air-to-air combat and ground attack, making them versatile threats. The Luftwaffe, stretched thin across multiple fronts, struggled to replace losses and maintain training standards. This disparity meant that even experienced German pilots faced increasingly unfavorable odds. When engagements occurred over France in spring 1944, the results were striking. FW-190s that had previously dominated the skies found themselves under devastating fire from 8.50 caliber guns, their maneuvers increasingly constrained by the Americans' tactical discipline. Reports from Luftwaffe pilots later recounted the sudden shock of encountering a fighter that could take hits, deliver lethal firepower, and maintain relentless pressure. The emergence of the P-47 in large numbers, combined with tactical innovation and rigorous crew discipline, set the stage for a shift in aerial dominance. The American Thunderbolt would not only challenge but surpass expectations, proving that a single technological and tactical combination could disrupt even the most formidable enemy fighters. This confrontation marked the beginning of the end for Luftwaffe's supremacy in the Western European skies. 1. Human angle. Courage and discipline in the cockpit. For the pilots of the P-47 Thunderbolt, combat was as much a test of endurance as of skill. Hours spent in the cockpit, bracing against engine vibration and high-altitude cold, demanded both physical resilience and mental focus. Each pilot knew that 8.50 caliber machine guns were powerful, but their effectiveness relied entirely on precision, timing, and coordination with their squadron. Communication was constant, hand signals or radio commands ensuring that formations remained intact and that overlapping fields of fire covered every blind spot. The human element extended to decision-making under extreme stress. Pilots had to judge when to press the attack, when to break off, and how to position themselves to protect their comrades while maximizing offensive capability. The Luftwaffe's FW-190s, agile and aggressive, forced split-second choices. Any hesitation could be fatal. For American pilots, the combat demanded nerves of steel. For the Germans, the sudden realization that they were outgunned tested even the most experienced airmen. 2. Tactical angle, formation, and firepower. The P-47's tactical advantage lay in its disciplined formations and overwhelming firepower. Squadrons flew in tight, mutually supportive arrangements, creating a lattice of defensive and offensive coverage. 8 machine guns per aircraft meant that concentrated bursts could devastate enemy planes within seconds. The Americans exploited altitude, speed, and coordinated angles of attack, allowing smaller groups of P-47s to engage larger numbers of FW-190s effectively. German pilots, accustomed to individual dogfighting maneuvers, found the P-47 formations bewildering. Attacking one aircraft meant exposure to multiple guns from others nearby. The overlapping arcs created lethal zones that could not be penetrated easily. The combination of human coordination and technological firepower rendered traditional Luftwaffe tactics less effective, forcing pilots to adapt or risk catastrophic losses. 3. Technological angle, 8.50 caliber guns. The P-47's 8.50 caliber Browning machine guns were not simply numerous. They were devastatingly accurate and synchronized for maximum impact. Unlike lighter fighters with fewer guns, the Thunderbolt could deliver a sustained stream of bullets capable of tearing through wings, fuselages, and engines. Combined with the plane's rugged construction, this firepower allowed pilots to engage heavily armored or agile enemy aircraft with confidence. The Germans had not anticipated such concentrated fire in a single aircraft, and the effect was immediate. Reports from FW-190 pilots described moments of disbelief as one or two P-47s could outgun several enemy planes simultaneously. The combination of firepower, rate of fire, and durability turned the Thunderbolt into a game-changing weapon in the European air war. 4. Enemy angle, Luftwaffe under pressure. By 1944, the Luftwaffe was stretched thin. Experienced pilots were increasingly rare, and replacements, though competent, lacked the battle-hardened instincts of their predecessors. The sudden appearance of P-47 squadrons, armed with overwhelming firepower, forced German pilots to confront new realities. Even veteran FW-190 pilots admitted to the shock of facing aircraft that could absorb damage and return fire with lethal efficiency. The psychological impact was profound. Luftwaffe pilots who had once dominated the skies began to approach engagements with caution, aware that a single miscalculation could result in being shredded by 8.50 caliber guns. This shift in morale and confidence contributed as much to the Americans' advantage as did technical superiority. 5. Leadership angle, command and coordination. Effective leadership was a cornerstone of the P-47 success. Squadron leaders orchestrated every engagement with precision, ensuring that formations remained cohesive under fire. Orders were clear and concise: who would initiate the attack, who would provide cover, and how to maintain altitude advantage. Leaders monitored both airspace and squadron morale, adjusting tactics dynamically as enemy movements unfolded. This level of command made a profound difference in combat. When a P-47 pilot engaged multiple FW-190s, the knowledge that comrades were covering flanks and rear provided both protection and confidence. German pilots, by contrast, often operated in smaller, fragmented groups, which left them vulnerable to the overlapping fire zones of the Thunderbolt formations. Leadership, therefore, magnified the effectiveness of technology and human skill alike. 6. Moral/psychological angle, confidence versus shock. The introduction of the P-47 instilled unprecedented confidence in American pilots. The combination of formation discipline, pilot training, and devastating firepower created a sense of near invulnerability in the skies. Pilots reported feeling the reassurance of their wingman's presence and the destructive power of the 8.50 caliber guns, knowing that coordinated fire could overwhelm any FW-190 in the immediate vicinity. Conversely, the Luftwaffe experienced shock and uncertainty. Pilots accustomed to exploiting weaknesses and executing high-speed dogfighting maneuvers now faced a wall of bullets they had neither anticipated nor prepared for. Reports from German pilots note the sudden realization that conventional tactics were insufficient. Even experienced aviators struggled to adapt, and this psychological edge contributed directly to higher German losses and increasing caution in engagements. 7. Strategic angle, shifting the air war. The operational impact of the P-47 went beyond individual dogfights. By neutralizing Luftwaffe fighters with a combination of firepower, formation discipline, and pilot skill, the Americans could secure air superiority over critical sectors of northern France. This allowed for safer bomber escort missions, interdiction of supply lines, and the suppression of enemy air activity prior to the Normandy invasion. Strategically, the P-47 demonstrated how a single technological and tactical innovation could force the enemy to re-evaluate doctrine. The Luftwaffe's inability to counter these formations effectively contributed to the gradual erosion of German air dominance. By April 1944, the Thunderbolt had not only become a feared fighter in its own right, but also a force multiplier, amplifying the effectiveness of Allied air operations across multiple theaters. 8. Human technology integration angle, pilot and plane as one. The P-47's success was not solely the result of engineering or numbers. It was the seamless integration of pilot skill and aircraft capability. The 8.50 caliber guns, high-speed diving ability, and durable airframe could only achieve maximum impact when paired with disciplined, trained pilots. Each pilot acted as both tactician and operator, coordinating maneuvers with their squadron while precisely targeting enemy aircraft. This integration created a synergy that German pilots found difficult to counter. Even experienced FW-190 pilots reported being outmaneuvered not by a single plane, but by a coordinated, interdependent system of pilots and machine guns. The human-machine combination of the P-47 squadron redefined expectations for aerial combat, illustrating that success in the skies depended as much on disciplined execution as on technological superiority. April 18, 1944, 9:42 a.m., Northern France. The P-47 Thunderbolts streaked across the Normandy countryside, sun glinting off their rugged fuselages. 8.50 caliber guns on each aircraft hummed with deadly promise. The Luftwaffe's FW-190s, 9 in number, had spotted the approaching formation and banked sharply, confident in their agility and cannon fire. But confidence quickly turned to surprise. The first P-47s dove in coordinated passes, unleashing concentrated streams of .50 caliber rounds. Tracers streaked across the sky like lethal ribbons, tearing through wings, engines, and fuselages. Within seconds, one FW-190 spiraled downward, smoke trailing behind it. The American formation held, no single pilot breaking rank, ensuring that overlapping fire zones prevented the remaining German fighters from executing conventional attack maneuvers. Pilots in the P-47s demonstrated an extraordinary balance of aggression and control. Each dive and roll was timed to maximize firepower while maintaining formation integrity. German pilots tried evasive maneuvers, high-speed turns, dives, and vertical escapes, but the coordinated guns of the Thunderbolts made every movement perilous. 2 more FW-190s fell in rapid succession, their pilots ejecting or plunging to the ground in flames. Amid the chaos, the psychological weight of the encounter became clear. The German pilots realized their firepower and agility were no match for the concentrated, disciplined barrage of the P-47s. One by one, they attempted to disengage, but the American fighters anticipated escape routes, cutting off angles and forcing further exposure. By 9:46 a.m., 6 of the 9 FW-190s had been neutralized or driven off, leaving only 3 aircraft retreating toward friendly lines. On the ground, German air observers would later report the precision and lethality of the attack in stunned detail. Even veteran Luftwaffe commanders admitted that the P-47's 8.50 caliber guns, combined with coordinated tactics and pilot discipline, had created an air dominance scenario previously thought impossible. This engagement marked a turning point. It proved that a smaller, well-coordinated squadron, armed with superior firepower and trained in disciplined tactics, could decisively neutralize larger or equally skilled enemy formations. For the Allies, it confirmed the P-47 as a dominant fighter capable of shaping air operations in the months leading to D-Day. For the Luftwaffe, it was a stark warning that conventional tactics were no longer sufficient in the evolving air war. The sky over northern France had become a proving ground, and the P-47's triumph in those few minutes foreshadowed the broader collapse of German air resistance in the lead-up to the Allied invasion. Climax/turning point. Section 2. The air battle continued with relentless intensity. The remaining 3 FW-190s attempted a desperate counterattack, banking sharply to target the rear of the P-47 formation. But American pilots anticipated the maneuver. Gunners in the tail and waist positions of the Thunderbolts opened fire in synchronized arcs, sending a hail of .50 caliber bullets across the attacking fighters' flight paths. One FW-190 erupted in midair, wings sheared by concentrated fire. The second pilot struggled to maintain control, smoke trailing from the fuselage, forcing an emergency landing behind German lines. The final FW-190, heavily damaged, retreated with half its rudder torn away, a testament to the Thunderbolt's dominance. The encounter lasted less than 5 minutes. Yet in that brief span, 8 American pilots had inflicted decisive damage while sustaining minimal risk to themselves. The engagement exemplified the combination of technology, tactics, and human skill that made the P-47 a game-changer. The 8.50 caliber guns, previously considered adequate against light fighters, proved capable of overwhelming even the FW-190's more substantial armament. Coupled with formation discipline and leader-directed coordination, the Thunderbolts had turned air combat into a calculated, almost surgical operation. German pilots, stunned and demoralized, would later recount their disbelief. Experienced aviators admitted that no prior encounter had prepared them for the intensity and precision of this attack. What had begun as a routine interception evolved into a lesson in the lethal integration of man and machine. The skies, once dominated by German agility and firepower, now belonged to the Thunderbolts, at least for that crucial window over northern France. Strategically, this battle sent ripples through both sides. American commanders saw proof that P-47s could escort bombers effectively, neutralize enemy fighters with minimal losses, and maintain control of contested airspace. For the Luftwaffe, it was an unmistakable indicator of declining superiority, signaling that the Allies had not only caught up technologically, but had also mastered the art of tactical innovation in the air. By the end of the day, the impact of the P-47's assault was clear. Air dominance had shifted, morale had tilted, and the German approach to aerial engagement needed fundamental reevaluation. The Thunderbolts had proven that 8.50 caliber guns, disciplined crews, and coordinated tactics could redefine the rules of aerial warfare. Aftermath, Section 1. The immediate aftermath of the April 18th engagement over northern France left an indelible mark on both sides of the conflict. The Luftwaffe suffered significant losses, 6 FW-190s destroyed or forced out of combat, and the remaining pilots shaken by the unprecedented firepower they faced. Pilot reports described moments of disbelief as entire aircraft formations were neutralized in minutes, a scenario previously thought unlikely in European skies. These encounters were documented in after-action reports, emphasizing the devastating efficiency of the P-47 and the discipline of its pilots. American pilots, conversely, returned to base with minimal damage. The durability of the Thunderbolt allowed them to absorb return fire that would have crippled lighter aircraft, while their concentrated .50 caliber firepower enabled them to inflict maximum damage with controlled, calculated precision. Debriefings highlighted the effectiveness of formation flying, overlapping fields of fire, and tactical coordination, validating months of rigorous training. Strategically, the engagement demonstrated a clear shift in air superiority. The Luftwaffe, once confident in their FW-190's agility and armament, now faced a reality where numerical advantage and experience could be outweighed by tactical innovation and superior firepower. Commanders on both sides recognized the implications. The P-47 was no longer just a fighter. It was a tool that could shape air campaigns, disrupt enemy operations, and protect Allied bombers with unprecedented effectiveness. This single battle also underscored the psychological dimensions of aerial warfare. American pilots' confidence soared, bolstered by both the aircraft's capabilities and the visible impact on enemy formations. The Luftwaffe, however, faced a demoralizing shock. Veteran pilots acknowledged that traditional dogfighting tactics were insufficient against coordinated P-47 formations, signaling a need for new strategies or adaptations that the strained German Air Force could scarcely implement. The outcome resonated beyond the skies of northern France. It influenced planning for future escort missions, bomber raids, and even the upcoming D-Day operations, demonstrating that a combination of disciplined tactics, technological advantage, and human skill could decisively shift the balance of power in the European theater. Aftermath, Section 2. In the days and weeks following the April 18th engagement, the effects of the P-47 Thunderbolt's dominance became increasingly evident. Luftwaffe units over. Northern France reported rising losses and declining morale. Veteran FW-190 pilots, once confident in their aircraft's agility and firepower, now approached combat with caution. Even highly trained replacement pilots faced steep learning curves when confronting tightly coordinated P-47 formations. The psychological impact of being outgunned was as significant as the physical losses, contributing to hesitancy and mistakes in subsequent dogfights. American air commanders seized the opportunity. P-47 squadrons were deployed to escort bombers, interdict supply lines, and provide tactical air support for advancing Allied ground forces. The Thunderbolt's reputation for durability and firepower allowed them to take on aggressive missions that would have previously been too risky. Reports highlighted that coordinated strikes against FW-190 patrols resulted in fewer American losses, higher enemy attrition, and improved airspace control over critical sectors. The engagement also highlighted a larger strategic lesson. Technological superiority alone was insufficient. The integration of pilot skill, disciplined formations, tactical planning, and communication amplified the effectiveness of the P-47's armament. The Luftwaffe, on the other hand, faced both material shortages and training deficits, limiting their ability to adapt to these evolving challenges. The combination of these factors accelerated the erosion of German air dominance in Western Europe. By the summer of 1944, this shift in air power would play a critical role in the success of the Normandy invasion. Bomber formations, previously vulnerable to Luftwaffe attacks, could now rely on P-47 escorts to clear the skies. German commanders recognized that their fighters were increasingly outmatched in both firepower and coordination, forcing a re-evaluation of tactics and defensive deployments. Ultimately, the April 18th encounter became emblematic of a broader transformation in aerial warfare. The P-47's combination of 8.50 caliber guns, rugged construction, and disciplined pilot crews demonstrated that skillfully applied technology could decisively alter the balance of power. The Luftwaffe's losses, both tangible and psychological, signaled the beginning of a turning point in the air war over Europe, one in which the Allies would increasingly dictate the terms of engagement. Reflection/closure. The story of the P-47 Thunderbolt over northern France is more than a tale of firepower. It is a testament to the synergy between human skill, disciplined teamwork, and technological innovation. 8.50 caliber machine guns were not just weapons. They were force multipliers, transforming formations of determined pilots into a lethal system capable of reshaping the skies. Each pilot, trained for precision and cohesion, became part of a larger mechanism, demonstrating that mastery in warfare arises not from tools alone, but from the people who wield them with strategy and discipline. For the Luftwaffe, the encounter served as a harsh lesson. Experience and agility, once their greatest strengths, were insufficient against coordinated tactics and concentrated firepower. The psychological impact was profound. Even seasoned pilots faced a new reality where calculated aggression could no longer guarantee survival. Their shock and adaptation highlighted the ever-evolving nature of war, where technological and tactical shifts redefine what is possible in moments of combat. Beyond the tactical and strategic lessons, the P-47's dominance offers a broader reflection on innovation in human conflict. It illustrates how foresight, preparation, and rigorous training can amplify technological advantage, turning raw potential into decisive outcomes. It also underscores the importance of morale, discipline, and cohesion in high-stakes environments, factors as critical as engines, guns, or armor. In the end, The P-47's triumph over the Luftwaffe was not merely a victory of steel and bullets. It was a triumph of preparation, courage, and the deliberate application of skill under pressure. In a war defined by chaos and uncertainty, the Thunderbolt showed that precision, unity, and relentless execution could shift the balance of power, leaving an enduring legacy in the history of aerial warfare.